we call our land registry Land Survey Department. And I will later explain what that contains. I will also give some examples from Sweden, from our research, how we use the information that we take from the Land Survey Department. And Elena told, I come from a multidisciplinary department called Urban Studies. So my colleague is, I am economic geographer. I like geography. But my colleagues are lawyers, economists, sociologists, business studies. But the common interest we share is urban areas or real estate. That's what we think. We put the real estate in the center. So, it's new. In Sweden, normal universities have faculty of economics, faculty of business, blah, blah, blah. But we are a new university and we think a little bit different. Today I will talk about the land register, land survey department. I will actually start with the history because I think the history is important. Hopefully also give some, because I listened to Elena's interest in the land registry, so I have been influenced by Elena's talk from Spain. And then I will use some examples how we use this information. But in my department, we teach real estate brokers. There's a program for the real estate brokers. In Sweden, they hold a very important role. When we make a transaction, property transaction, they are in the middle of the transaction. They write the contract, they take the contracts, and they will also register the sale within the land registry. So they are very important. They are not public servants, but they have a license. So for us it's important, they need to have a multidisciplinary education. Lawyers, we have law for them, we have economics, ethics also. How to sell and how to be ethical when you sell property. So they deal with the taxes as well.
So they explain the client that they have to pay this and that tax?
Yes.
Everything that has to do with the conveyancing?
They do. And we pay about 1%. So it's not it's not so high. That's all we pay.
1% of the price
of the property.
And it's fixed by law?
That's by law.
Okay.
Yes.
Instead of the notaries, you have the real estate
Yes.
brokers.
The notaries for us is not important.
For us, it's very.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what we were speaking about in Sweden.
So it's
a big difference because you
yeah.
have this sort of
real
real estate agent
yes.
that's here in Spain.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Te ofrecen la vivienda, but that is here the real estate agent is the
Sellers.
Yeah, they market.
Yes,
they find a
they
find a customer.
Show you the houses, but that's
Yeah.
the role.
But this system is rather new.
It's new.
Yes. So classical universities, they don't have this because they cannot combine the different, it's not easy to negotiate between the faculties. So Malmö, my new university, they established the program. So we are one of the only programs in Sweden.
From scratch.
Yeah, from scratch. It's easier. But we also have real estate managers. In Sweden, the real estate business is more and more important. So the real estate managers, they are managing big properties. So they are also.
The condominium schemes and so
Not condominiums in Sweden is not so often, not so common. It's more office, factory, this type of big companies that sell and buy and own property. We also have a program for urban planners, so the planning people. What we do in the faculty is research that combines this type of classical disciplines. But let me start with the land registration, land authority. I like to use the Swedish name. In Swedish it's called Lantmäteriet. A direct translation of this, measurement of land. The authority for measurement of land. And I think it's important to keep that in mind already from the start. The name was that. The purpose of the authority, when it was founded, 1628, was to map and measure the land. And the full name is Swedish Mapping, Cadastral and Land Registration Authority. Everything at one point. One authority. So it got the task to map the cities, the villages, farms, ports, mines, but also agricultural land. And at this time, Sweden was at that time a big country. We will see in the maps later. So the king at this time wanted to survey the land and see how he could collect tax to continue fight the Catholics in Europe. It was at that time very, very important. This was after the Reformation, and Sweden took part in the war in Europe. So, making overview maps. Already from the beginning, the whole methodology was to make geometric maps. We imagine Sweden at the time very centralized, a centralized, rather new kingdom, centralized to the capital, Stockholm. However, this authority was decentralized because they needed local knowledge. So, main office in main cities with the land register as the very important person. And this whole legacy was to facilitate the expansion of the kingdom, to bring in tax money, but also to survey the land. This is the one of the most important maps at that time. This map was drawn by the founder of in Swedish Lantmäteriet, and it shows from our perspective the importance of the Baltic Sea. Baltic Sea is the middle of the Swedish kingdom. The sea trade is of importance. We see already 1688 the kingdom starts to get smaller and smaller. So the kingdom is what we now talk about, Sweden, but also Finland and the Baltic countries. So the provinces in northern Germany is lost.
And that used to belong to Sweden?
Yes. In this, at this time, no, not Denmark. Denmark was its own, yes, independent. Even, which I will show later on, Denmark consisted of West Denmark and East Denmark. But Malmö in the south of Sweden belonged to Denmark. In this map, southern part, this is the first map with the southern part, former East Denmark, that belongs to Sweden. And Malmö is here, in the very south of Sweden. So we can see in the maps from the land registry how the kingdom is shrinking. It was to facilitate expansion, but in reality it started to shrink.
Perhaps the others were stronger.
Others were stronger, and yeah.
And why did Norway want to go away from Sweden?
Norway?
Yes?
Norway is a later story.
Okay.
At this time, traditionally Norway does not belong to Sweden, belongs to Denmark. And this,
The first one, it seems to be Sweden.
no, also Denmark.
Ah, okay. It's also Danish.
Yes.
So Norway belongs to Denmark.
Yes, so the Swedish Empire was more towards the east.
But then Denmark was the one who lost most.
Denmark, but the connection between Sweden and Denmark later on. This is now we enter in history. We leave my presentation and enter history. 1809, Sweden lose Finland. 1809. And at that time, we kicked out the king and took a new king, one of the marshals from Napoleon, Bernadotte, the Bernadotte family. And he thought, I will make Sweden strong again. So he conquered Norway from Denmark. First time in the history that we had to take care of Norway. And it was problematic, very expensive. There were nothing, just fish, a bit of forestry. We didn't know. So 1905, we let them become an own country. We don't want them. We gave them away. They became an own country, and they found oil in 1960s. Now they're very rich. Yes. But so the reason I show these maps is land was shrinking, and the land authority got new tasks. So the tasks in the later was mainly to do land reforms. And it was not land reforms, the classical land reforms, to distribute land from the people who had land to the people who did not have land. That was not the purpose here. The purpose was to look at the land and how it was divided traditionally. And at that time, the land was divided in very small plots in the villages, small but long. So, like this, a lot of small plots, and it's not effective. So the land reforms was to increase productivity of the land. So first of all, the land registry have to measure the productivity of the land. So when we talk about valuation, they are already very early within measuring valuation, measuring the productivity of the land. And the land reforms to aggregate smaller plots to bigger plots. We can see that they tend to make larger plots. And it's a long process. The process started 1749 with 3 major reforms. And it didn't end around 1827. This took part both in Sweden and in Finland. Finland didn't finish the land reforms until 1915. So they had another reform 1915.
That was a compulsory process.
Yes. It was like this. If one farmer in a village, only one farmer, said, I would like to make land reforms, the whole village had to make land reforms. So you can say it's compulsory. Yes. One against all of them. So then
The fights might have been strong.
no, not so, not so, because the farmers already saw the value of this. They made higher productivity. They made more money. So what they said, throughout, maximum 4 plots per farm.
But how did you put them together, the 4 plots? One was buying or they were taking?
They put all the land in one basket. They value the small. They look at the measurement, and they combined. This is high value land, so you get a part of the high value land. That's how they made it. And during that time, they made 40,000 maps. 40,000 maps at that time. So all of the resources in the land registry was for this.
The land registry was an instrument of this process of the concentration of the new division of the land. Was it the main purpose was just to
Increase productivity. Land, the whole empire shrink, so Sweden cannot be richer by expansion. So instead, the king and the government think about more product per area. And you can see here, everything comes from mapping. Mapping is absolutely important.
Because if you don't have a map, you can do the process of concentrating and then redistributing.
Doing the land. So
Depends, sorry to interrupt you, Magnus, but depends on the value of your former land that you got the better plots or something like that?
yes, so it tried to be as just system as possible.
But if you were a smaller farmer with just one plot,
they gave
you
you
lost
nothing.
you lost your property.
No.
They gave you some
Land, then you get some other land. If you have very small plot, you might get a bit bigger plot, but less productive.
Okay. So it depended at the end on how much
You
gave
put
to the
in,
basket, you
yes.
put the basket.
Yes. There is another process going on in the reason for the later process is the industrialization slowly starts to be in with small industrialization. So there was starting to have a movement from rural areas to urban areas at this time. In the history writing of the land survey department, Lantmäteriet, the land reforms were a success, and farms became bigger. But this is often not so much highlighted in our reforms. Is that in the rural countryside of Sweden was used to have villages like in Spain. But in order to make the land reform, the villages were broken up. So instead of having farms concentrated in the village, the farms was moved to the plot of land that they were owning. So you broke up the village system.
So you had lots of farms with isolated houses.
Also isolated houses. The map that was used also became a tool for tax collection. So we already see a very strong link between the land survey department and the tax collectors. After the land reforms, one of the important tasks for traditional is to work with registration of sale, but also aggregation, split of land. That became the next important task for the authority.
And then when the process is finished to divide again the land, you fix the minimum unit you can divide.
Yes. Next task became for the land survey department became city planning. This is the city planning of a rather new city from 1899, and the planning of the city is made by the land survey department. So at that time, the industrialization is in full power in Sweden, and new cities had to be built. Mainly in the north of Sweden, where there's a combination of cheap electricity from water power, access both to forest and iron ore. Iron. Yes. So new cities was built, and they were all planned by the land survey department. In that process, the increased urbanization movement from the rural countryside to the cities, there were need for better city planning. And first, there was a complete one centralized registry for the rural areas, because they were mapped already during the land reforms. 1970, there was a complete registry of the land in cities, so all plots included. And later, 1968, they collected everything in one registry. Central registry. However, during this process, the land registry kept its decentralized structure. So there is a decentralized structure with offices in all main cities. And the last reform, important reform, is an electric. Everything is collected in an electric format, 1995, rather early. The modern reforms of the land registry is connected to today's reforms. Collecting and storing electronic registry data, and within the delegation from the central government to this government authority, they have got the task to ease the sharing and make public access to data. However, this Lantmäteriet is one of the main public authorities that actually make money. So they have quite a large share, we will see later, of their budget is from selling data, selling specific data. So there's a conflict of what the government wants them to do, sharing public data with not only with the public but also with the private sector and other government agencies, and the need to acquire funds to actually do the work of collecting the data. So this is an important conflict. They are very proud of saying they have stored all the information. It's 3.2 million real estate units in Sweden. They have information of them all stored in their system.
How have you solved the problem between sharing data and collecting money? Who decided which data have to be sold and which data are free?
They are in negotiation still about what data they can keep and sell, and what data is public access. And there is a conflict with the Swedish law, which as government information that comes into the government should be available for the public. We call it the public access to government information. And when we are in contact with, as a researcher, I say I want information that they have to be sent to me. They say, yes, we can do it, but no, we only do it in written format, paper format. Yes, so I get a pile of paper, which is useless for me. But by that, they live up to the law.
But a solution could be giving open access to the public offices, public servants, universities, and so on, and selling it to the private sector.
Yes.
Because the private sector makes profit from this information.
Exactly. So that is the process that we as universities has been trying to lobby, and we have been successful. You will see later what type of information that we get from the land survey department. For example, this is orthophoto. They have collected orthophotos since 1930. They have very nice orthophotos of the whole country since 1930. So you can see change. You need to pay to get if you want specific locations.
Really?
Yes.
Even universities?
Orthophotos, yes.
It's expensive.
Yes.
Okay.
This is the same place, but this is the real estate information that we can get. It's for free. The certain information is free. The location, even the owner of the house, we can find the name of the house in the system. It's for free. However, when we ask for the file, I don't want the map. I don't want one. I want all of it in an Excel file. No. So for me as a geographer, one point is useless. I need all points. This shows what type of information we have. They collect geographical information and they collect real estate information. This is the money they make. It's about 14 million euro. It's not a huge amount of money. So this is about 14 million. Yeah. Exactly. But the real estate information is the same amount of money. But the growing access, the growing demand for information relates to geographical information that they have. This is showing the development of data that is regards to land use. So the data that the satellite images, mainly, that the land authority have, that shows what type of use of land has boomed. Completely boomed. is that the municipalities and the regional governments, they need to survey the land. And we have regulations, new regulations saying that we are not allowed to build on land that is of high quality farming. So you need to monitor that. So that is mainly the public sector buying from the public sector. Yeah. So it gives us a bit of perspective of the Swedish land registry. Good at doing reforms, but a bit stuck with the being open.
It's strange because it's public administration against public administration, because land registry against municipalities.
Mainly, yes.
Or regional authorities.
Yes, yes.
And the budget of the land registry
It's
budget?
It's a public budget. However, they are. We have a special type. We have different type. The ministries in Sweden is very small ministries, but they have authorities under them, and they can be very big. This one is one of the larger, but it's not a normal authority. It's allowed to be profit making. So it's a profit making authority.
Part of the budget is from this.
From selling and buying, yes.
They should get the money from the private sector, but not from the
Public.
Yes.
But we have, this is what I asked Elena earlier. When you have a course here in La Laguna,
Very, very funny what he's going to explain.
how much does the room cost? Elena's, what the room?
A classroom.
But who pays the rent of the room? A university. The university owns the room. But me, as a course, I have a course. I'm the director of the course. I get a budget. I get a budget for my course. In Sweden, that budget needs to cover the teachers, but also the rent of the room.
The classroom. You
So-
are teaching and you have to pay for the classroom, even if you are teaching.
Sometimes here you have to pay for spaces.
Yes, but never for your course.
No, for
never.
Yeah.
your own course. And
Yeah. Yeah.
Imagine.
So for us, I pay the rent to the university, and the university pay the rent to the public authority that owns all government buildings. Yeah.
Because here we have the SEGAI, these are general services for research, and if you need services from this SEGAI unit that belongs to university, for instance, it's a very simple example. If we need a translator, and we were 20, and we need, these things that you use for in translation, for interpreting, you have to rent them, and you have to pay, from your budget, from the department, you have to pay the university for the renting of these funny things. But it's just in these very small cases, because they need to have sort of money to keep on working. But for the rooms, to make lessons, it's the basic infrastructure.
It's a way of creating money within the government system, and it's a way of measuring productivity.
Who is teaching?
Yeah.
Because if you don't teach today, you don't need to pay today.
Yes.
If someone is ill
Yeah.
1 week and doesn't teach that week, he won't pay for that week.
And he won't make the room. You are very.
We control who is not
For me, if I'm not using the rooms, I will call the administrator and say, take away. I don't want it because I don't want to pay.
Yes, you don't want to pay.
So I'm guarding my course budget as my own pockets.
No, but that's interesting because it's a way of controlling who is
Yes.
coming to the lesson and who is staying at home.
So, I think we've got the understanding for how the land registry function, very centralized. However, with the offices, yes, and
The offices you wrote before.
20 offices,
In the
yes,
whole
this is Sweden. Yes. This is an example from a research project that we recently did in my department. Sweden, this is the southern part, the most southern province, which is linked with the bridge to Copenhagen. So it's a cross-border region. And this is important for the provincial government because we are now linking ourselves to a big labor market, Copenhagen. Languages is almost similar, so I could teach in a Danish university. I have Danish students who come to my university and they have the right to write the exams in Danish. They have a right to write them in Danish, Norwegian, or even Finnish. It's a Nordic cooperation. Yes, which is very different from our language. So we work with the provincial government to analyze the relationship between expansion of the public transport network in this region, and we say development at local levels in this province, because there's a problem. We have a strong development in the western part towards Denmark, and the main city is Malmö, where is a labor market. But only 60 kilometers away to the east, no one lives. There is just summer houses, nice summer houses, but people don't live because people don't tend to like to commute. So the provincial government spend a lot of money to expand mainly the rail-based public network. So rail, trains, commuter trains. And what we wanted to see if this large budget spending on public transport can be reflected in real estate prices. That's how we think about local development. This is the information that we were able to get from the land survey department. This is property transactions from year 2002 to 2014. Almost 100,000 transactions of small houses. And this is the main area of where people can live and work. Here, almost no work, but houses. And
all the land transactions are reflected in this land registry, or are another way of come from the property without this public registry?
No, you have to register all transactions. All transactions goes into the registry. So what we have is the cost of doing it, or if there is no cost, if it's big, it's giving away. So there is the information of the X and Y coordinate, where it's located, who is selling it, who is buying it, and how much is it. Then we have a lot of information of the individual property, size, how large garden, how large is the house, and for us it's important, do they have a connection to the sewage system? Because many houses here have their own sewage system. They have their own, and it's not so good. Environmental standards. Yeah. Also, is it linked to electricity grid? And how it is linked to the electricity grid? Is it through an underlined cable, or is it air cable? Because here is a lot of forest, and when the wind comes, the electricity goes out. So every year there is periods of up to a week where people don't have electricity. So it's also important in the sense of property transactions.
Because the value of the house depends also on this sort of
This access to infrastructure. So we have a lot of information. So for us who like to calculate, we have a lot of information here.
And does it also depend on how close it is to the railway?
Yes, we can. I did not show. Will not show the full table here, but we have made models that. But let me take that to the end. Let me show. We're starting to make. We have a very fine administrative level, which is not municipalities, it's even smaller than municipalities. And what we can see is high prices is mainly here and here, and a little bit here and a little bit here. But this is high prices areas. This is close to where people can live and can work. That is Malmö. That is Malmö. What we can see is this is low prices.
Those are in the forest, they are alone, they are
Forest.
I remember the books from Henning Mankell.
Yeah.
About
Yeah. Henning Mankell is this area. Exactly. Here, that landscape is very flat and very windy. It's not so beautiful. This is forest, and this is hilly landscape next to the sea. Beautiful landscape, and this is also hilly landscape next to the sea. But it's too far away from the labor market. But when I say too far away, I talk about 45 minutes. It's not far away. What we can also make is maps showing the price, low price, high price, and transaction volume. In this area, how much transactions? More transactions, more popular. And we see the same patterns. Even we go from the different times before 2005, 2006 to 2010, and 2011, 2015. It's same patterns. It doesn't change much. And then wait. We can observe that the government puts money into building new stations, new railway lines. And the government, by doing that, they decrease the travel time, targeting this area. They decrease the travel time to the main labor market, here, here, or here. It's the same here. They target specific areas to decrease the travel time. Also this place, by building railway lines. However, looking at the change in price, there is almost no change. So when you ask, is it important to live close to a railway? Yes, if you live here or here, but not here. There is no change. There is no change. So
How about food transport line and the value of the land of your house is lower there, and then you have a short time to commute.
then you will live there.
Yes.
That's what the government is trying to do.
They try to do, but
People don't like
they don't do it. They
Even
it,
if they are spending lots of money in building
Mm.
the connections and so on.
no change.
Good, because if the land
weather.
is cheaper,
With the weather.
if the land is cheaper, it could be better because you could have perhaps a garden or a farm or something. But people prefer to be closer
To the cities, to the working place. So it relates. We have different preferences.
Yes.
We say travel to work longer than 30 minutes. No, 30 minutes is too much. I live 22 minutes from my working place. My friends say, why you live so far away? Most of my friends have 15 minutes with a bicycle. So we have very different ideas of what is far and what is close. This is southern Sweden. We see different patterns in Stockholm, completely different. So within a country we have different preferences.
Well, it happens here in Tenerife. They all say that I'm crazy because I'm living in La Rotada and it takes 30 minutes, but in Madrid 30 minutes is just
Yes.
nothing.
Yes.
Because it takes you 1 hour usually to get to work. So it's happening all over.
Yeah. The provincial government was not so happy when we showed this. But what can we do? There is no change. They thought that the prices of the real estate must change because we think, of course, it is easier to live, you can use the train, we provide good train system.
Maybe there are boring villages.
Yeah.
Or too quiet,
Yes,
too calm.
too calm, too quiet. But other problems as well, because you can buy property very, very, very cheap. You cannot imagine how cheap it is.
We have to buy it. We have to make it.
Germans do. We have. So this is all summer houses. It's become summer houses. It's Danish buyers and German buyers.
Spend a week there.
They spend some time there. They buy. They find a house. The house can cost 20,000 euro with land.
120.
20,000 euro.
Just 20.
20,000. No, 20,000. You can buy a small house with land.
But here a car is more expensive.
Yes, in Sweden too.
Really?
So,
But then you can only be there in May.
yeah, exactly. But this is the huge price differences. I have one of my colleagues. He lives here. He has 1 hour to work. He bought his house 20 years ago. Almost nothing. Like 110,000 euro, 20,000 is almost nothing. So it is possible, but we tend not to. The risk of living here, in terms of having no electricity 2 weeks during the winter and so on,
This is the price you pay.
yes. Yeah, this is. I tried to link just to conclude. We say that we try to evaluate regional development by using this property data from the Land Survey Department with the change in the public transport. So the relationship between that becomes regional development. And my fight with the land registry department is they say, yes, Magnus, you can take the data of the, we have it opened, yes, but I cannot use, I cannot use the, I cannot do that 92,942 times. Give me the data.
Because they will give you the data in a paper sheet, and then you have to examine it.
Yes. Either they give it in a paper sheet, and I have to pay for the paper, or they say, you can do it on internet, online. Just click on the property. Yeah, I'm not going to click 92 times. So it is open, but still, for me, completely useless. So it's a bit, and I tend to say this because there is a reputation within our government system that we try to be transparent and open.
And that meets the requirements of the Inspire directive?
Exactly. Within the Inspire, they try to collaborate. But some type of data, and you could see this, the property transaction data.
They're not in electronic format.
No.
Not meeting those
Yeah.
deadlines.
Exactly. So we can be proud of having an openness and policies, but when it actually comes to sharing open data, it is a challenge also for us.
A public administration needs data to plan a city or plan infrastructure. They have to pay?
Yes, they have to pay. When I apply for research funding from a public agency, I have to be very, very careful about also including in the budget buying data from the government.
In Spain, you have this law on reusing information produced by the
public
public
sector.
sector. They have to give you
Yeah.
for free.
For us,
Because we are university, we are public
yeah,
sector too.
If you are private sector that make profit, there is other requirements, other conditions.
yeah. For us, it's it can be a high cost for our research budget, and sometimes it is it creates problems for us more than solving the academic scientific problem. So yeah.
This registry, what is registry?
Landmateriet, yeah.
It's only a cadastral registry? No, it's a law registry.
Yes,
Both.
It has legal and mapping.
legal and mapping.
Access,
Yeah,
everything
Yeah.
together.
yes, yes.
But there is no difference in the public servant that is giving you the information. They give you geographical or legal, or they deal with all the.
They deal with all the type of information. So we have, if you are a public servant within the land registry, you will become a we call them landmätare. That is the name of the person. That's the name of the degree that person. He or she is the person who can measure land, but also do the juridical.
So you have a specific degree. You
Yes.
study a degree to become a landowner.
Yes, Mark have that degree. Yes.
That's the degree. Because he explained he was an engineer.
Yes.
But he was specialized in cadastral law.
Yes.
So he's a sort of mix.
Yes. He have a master in the law. Yeah.
But his background
Background,
is engineering.
and they call themselves engineering.
Engineers.
Yeah,
I said,
yeah.
okay.
Because they are doing this a lot of measurement and equipment.
Yeah,
And,
what we call topographers here
Yeah,
in Spain, that
yeah.
they have special.
Yes. but our topographers, they also have this legal background about land.
They can make objections to any transferring of property because legal requirements are not met in the contract or no.
If the legal requirements are not met in the
Contract is not legal because lacks.
There's something wrong. There's something wrong in the
Yes.
contract.
then you cannot enter it into the land registry system. That's the importance of the broker, the real estate
So
broker.
the broker is like he acts he plays the role of the notary.
Yes. Yeah.
More or less.
Yeah.
And do the notaries include something?
Stamp the paper and sign the paper.
And that's it.
Yeah, that's what they do. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We almost don't use them.
You don't use them.
Yeah, because we can. If I need a legal, most of the documents that I need, I get from the tax office. So I go to the tax office. I even do it online. If I need a specific document, I do it online, and if I need a stamp, I just go to the tax office.
If you want to write your will for the case that you die, and who will do that for you? You do that in front of someone, or
I can do that in front of anyone who knows a bit of law, and then we register it with the tax authority.
and the tax authority.
Yeah.
So taxes is in Sweden.
Tax authority is the most. It's very. Tax authority, together with this authority, holds the highest customer satisfaction, because they measure how satisfied we are with the government authorities. Tax authority number one. It's very funny, yes. Tax authority is number one. They provide the best service.
Because they provide you with services. All the services.
And they also take a bit of my money. Yeah, no, but that
They pay a lot of tax. We're speaking about the percentage of taxes they pay at around 45 to 30.
between 30 to 45.
So they get good services. Very good services.
Yes.
Public transport. I can say that public transport and yo-yo car was perfect.
Yes.
That's good.
Schools, yes,
And
yes.
imagine also the hospitals are good.
Yes.
Well, I know it because I've been a customer
Well.
of public hospitals in Sweden, and
Yeah.
they are very good,
Yeah, yeah,
very high level.
yeah.
Universities, a lovely meeting, even if you have to pay for
We
the
have to
classroom.
pay, yes.
So the day we had the meeting with your students, it was a lecture, you had to pay for the classroom.
Yeah, yeah, it was a
And the day
lecture.
we had the meeting with your colleagues, the professor Seminar.
Yes,
Isn't that the-
yes, also.
Incredible.
Yes, yes.
Incredible.
We have.
You don't have to pay for using this meeting.
Ooh, so we can just speak and speak and speak and speak and speak.
It's free.
Yeah. Of the lecture.
Yeah.
So it is another
Yeah.
service,
Yeah.
special service, yes,
Yeah.
but you don't.
It's a normal use of this room.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Ah.
it's meant for this kind of seminar, of the meetings.
Yes, for us, everything is there is a budget behind everything.
But perhaps I was thinking now, perhaps to make an efficient use of things.
I think also maybe not always about that. It's also about measurement, to measure. Measure usage, and we don't use it enough. We can take away one floor. We don't need that floor.
So we can give
We
it
can,
someone else.
yes,
Yes, some kind of surveillance.
Yeah.
Surveillance.
yes,
Thank
yeah, yeah,
So thank you very much.
yeah. Thank you, thank you.
Interesting, because you learn a lot about another system, which is quite different.
The reason to why I started to think more about this was when I met Elena in Lyon, last year.
No, in May, not last year, it was May. It was 6 months ago.
Yes, it was.
But it was before your son was born.
Yes, exactly. It was
Either your son has been
exactly
born or your life has
20 days after my son was born.
And
It's
then
before
she
and
comes
after.
to Arantxa because she was she had met Beatriz before and she couldn't come to
Ah.
so she sent me and I
Aha. Yeah, yeah.
contact point.
Yeah. But when we met in Lyon, you told me about the land registry system and in Spain that they were so powerful.
Yes.
And I started to think about a government employee in Sweden that works with land. Are they powerful? No, not at all. Because they are just the tool.
Instead in Spain they are kind of a lobby. As notaries are lobbies, as state
Now our president is.
Yes, yes.
Because it was fun because in Sweden when I was explaining our research project and so on, they were not so interested, or they were interested in the project, but they were very interested when I started saying how powerful they were and how they fight notaries and land registrars. And they said, how is it?
Lobby organizations.
Yeah, I said, well, you have a strong democracy that dates from lots of centuries, and we have a very weak democracy, very young democracy, and we have lobbies, and that is...
I think many things comes from our tax system. Many things come back to the tax system.
From religion too.
Yes.
I'm sure that it comes from religion, because if you're Catholic, you make a sin, you do something wrong, then before you die, you will confess, you will say 10 times the Padre Nuestro, and then you will go to heaven. You Protestant, you have to be good guys always, because you don't have heaven and hell.
Yeah.
I think it's also
Yeah.
something to do well, I hope.
That's all. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The main difference between that system and our system is that we have different institutions for these tasks. We have a narrow history, we have a tax registry, cadastre, and they are different institutions, different
Origins.
yes, and they don't combine these measurements, value, and this is a whole
Holistic, it's an holistic, no? Using this new
whole
word. holistic.
picture of the land in all the aspects of legal, economic, and social, and that gives you a big portrait,
Yes.
the reality.
Yeah.
We have different realities. We have the reality of the cadastre, we have the reality of the land registry, and they are not the same reality.
Yeah.
They fight.
Yes.
And also we have another reality that is every region in Spain, autonomous community has its own service on making ortho photographs, because each community, because of environmental
Laws?
purposes,
Yes.
and you have each community has its own service. So in Canary Islands we have Grafcan, where they have their own airplanes, or they rent the airplane and they make their ortho photographs. But in Galicia they have theirs,
Oh.
La Rioja, Madrid, so each one has a different way to present information. So at the end you have different layers of information. Yes, and you lose lots of energy, I think, in the meanwhile.
Yes. And also it takes time to combine.
Yes. Interoperability.
Yeah.
You
Interoperability.
need
Yes.
to put all the layers
Yes.
on top. You remember I showed you
Yes.
when we were there, I showed you it was a map made by the Canary Islands Authority.
Yes.
And on top of it you could see the cadastre information, and on top of it the land registry information.
Yeah.
And fortunately we have now all these layers that can be combined, but
Yeah.
previously it was
Impossible. Yeah. 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 I was very interested in the way the real estate location was conducted in Spain by using words,
yes, the formal description.
formal description,
Called literary description.
literary description of the location.
Yes.
Oh, it's must be very, very difficult.
What about borders?
Yeah,
Because you relate the border to a person.
Yes.
yeah,
And if the person dies or says,
yeah,
it's not the person anymore,
yeah,
it's a problem.
yeah,
Fortunately, now with the new technologies, we
yeah,
well, Italy is even worse.
yeah,
Italy is even worse because they don't control anything. They
Yeah,
don't
they-
declare because they don't pay
Yeah.
taxes. If you are in southern Italy, you won't pay taxes. So you have to be.
The Swedish tax system was imported. The tax collectors were imported from Germany.
From Germany.
1515, we had a very strong king that united the country. The first thing he did was import tax collectors from Germany. That was how they did it. And then they created a tax system which is pretty efficient. Yeah. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.